Since the Academy gave Rami Malek an Oscar nomination for playing Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody, they should definitely give an Oscar nomination to Taron Egerton for playing Elton John in Rocketman. Rocketman, directed by Dexter Fletcher, produced by Elton John and Matthew Vaughn. This movie stars Taron Egerton as Elton John, Jamie Bell as Bernie Taupin, Richard Madden as John Reed, Bryce Dallas Howard as Sheila, Elton John's mother, Stephen McIntosh as Stanley, Elton John's father, Gemma Jones as Elton John's grandmother, and finally we have two child actors in this movie, Matthew Isley and Kit Connor playing young Elton under his real name, Reginald Dwight. So this movie is a biopic about Elton John, a musical biopic done in a fantasy kind of way. When I heard about this movie and how much of an Elton John fan I am, and the fact that I'm also a Taron Egerton fan as well, I really wanted to see this movie. The idea of Taron Egerton playing Elton John, that's an awesome idea. And this movie is excellent. It's better than Bohemian Rhapsody. Taron Egerton is fantastic as Elton John. He disappears in this role. He becomes Elton John. He really does a great job in this movie, and Jamie Bell is great as the man that helps write Elton John's songs, his longtime songwriter, Bernie Taupin. Richard Madden plays the man that used to be Elton John's manager, John Reed, and he's really good in the movie as well. Bryce Dallas Howard is really good as Sheila, Elton John's mother in the film. I really did like her in the movie. Stephen McIntosh is very good in the movie as Elton John's father. And Gemma Jones is also very good as Elton John's grandmother. I really did like her in the movie. The two child actors in this film, Matthew Isley, Kit Connor, who play young Elton, real name Reginald Dwight, they both do a really good job in this movie. This is a really, really excellent film. Now, unfortunately, this movie doesn't go fully into Elton John's life. This movie only goes up until, I believe, the late 80s. It doesn't go further than that, unfortunately. So we don't really get to meet Elton John's husband in this movie, David. This movie stops right before that, but it does mention his husband in the ending credits, at least, which that's good. But also this movie doesn't mention the hits that he did in the late 80s and in the 90s of his career. So the movie really focuses on his hits from the 70s and the 80s. But the way they use the music in this movie is so good. I really like how the music is used to portray his feelings and how it shows his life and all and everything. I really like how the music was done in this movie, and the costume design that they have in this movie is so good. I'm sure they took costumes right out of Elton John's wardrobe for Taron to wear in this movie, because he looks great in this movie in the costumes he wears. The chemistry that Taron Egerton and Jamie Bell have is really good. The best friend, almost brotherly-like chemistry that they have. All the other performances in this movie are really good, from Richard Madden, Bryce Dallas Howard, Steve McIntosh, Gemma Jones, and the two child actors, Matthew Isley and Kit Connor. Everybody does an excellent job in this movie. This is definitely one of my favorite movies of the year. I really like this movie a lot. I just wish to delve a little bit more deep into Elton John's life, but I really like this movie. I'm very glad that Elton John helped produce this movie to give it his own personal touch and his own stamp of approval on how this movie does his life. The movie is also R-rated, so it doesn't shy away from Elton John's sexuality, his homosexuality, and it does a very good job on centering up about that part of his life and everything. Not everything in this movie is totally accurate about him, and there are a few things that are wrong. There's like a YouTube video on what this movie got factually correct and what this movie didn't get factually correct. Like when it mentions how Elton John came up with his stage name, the movie says that he got his first name from one of his band members, Elton, but it makes it sound like the last name, John, came from John Lennon, when actually it came from one of his other band members. So that was kind of funny that they did that part wrong, but I didn't really mind that. This movie is really, really good. I definitely think people should check this movie out, especially if you're an Elton John fan. And if you're somebody that didn't really like the way Bohemian Rhapsody came out, you should definitely give this movie a chance. So I'm going to give this movie an A-. Definitely check out Rocketman.